Part 2. 1E, prejudice against singles. Sometimes married people assume that singles are freewheeling and despise their supposed irresponsibility. Instead, extremely few singles enjoy a carefree or playboy lifestyle. Many are alone all the time. Besides, non-partner singles sometimes take on more responsibility since there's nobody to share the household responsibilities with. Single men are viewed as extremely desperate. Husbands often act like single men want their wives. Some women act like single men want them, whether or not they are attractive or under age 70. Well, the single men are only interested in young, never married women without children. In Barry James's case, he was murdered with a butcher knife by a father who erroneously accused him of child molesting, having no evidence whatsoever. If adult singles vent their grievances about their parents, married people often unfairly project that situation onto their own, viewing the complainer as if their child were complaining against them and side with the parents instead. I've even had a single friend side with my parents, whom he never met, against me. The circular reasoning was, your parents are your parents, as if I thought alien replications were impersonating my parents. Besides erroneously viewing parenthood as the only worthy goal, besides, like I said, I mentioned marriage, we may falsely believe that people become parents only through natural selection. Those fit to be parents become parents. Those who don't are unfit and lack maturity and morals. Rather, many become parents through natural stupidity, fooling around on a couch or a car's back seat. Apparently, some believe that being a parent makes you a better person. People may not admit it, but their viewpoint is known by their actions and implied statements. I conclude that being a parent doesn't even help you become a better person. If that were true, Jesus of Nazareth, the perfect man, would have been married with children. Besides, civilizations often have lower birth rates among their brightest, most moral citizens, while less intelligent, criminal-prone, and non-productive people multiply. Dysgenics. This iniquity should be fixed before we even consider showing favoritism towards parents. Certainly, we should honor our parents, and many parents are great parents. But other parents don't act like parents, some don't even act like adults. Although single men are more likely to be sexual predators and engage in numerous antisocial and violent behaviors, this is only true for young single men in their 20s, or maybe 30s too, compared with married men in their 20s. Among the vast majority of single men over 40, those bad behaviors have disappeared, or at least by age 50. Married men in their 20s are not inherently good people. They're simply forced to act more mature to avoid losing their wives and children. Part 2, rejection and desperation. 2A, why men stay single or should. The assertions being lucky in love and unlucky in love are nonsense. Worse is the pompous, God bless me by giving me so-and-so, implying that God had mental lapses in overlooking some believers. These things happen naturally. God is not the matchmaking fairy. Worst is the idea that whoever is single against their wishes is the result of God's will, a pernicious load of elephant dung. Brutal dictators murdering men and stealing their sweethearts is God's will. Besides, it's impossible for everyone to be happily married due to imbalanced man-woman ratios. Ongoing and overwhelming biological and emotional urges to be married indicate that it was or is God's will that you do marry. God cannot contradict himself, the Christian God anyway, by creating a conflict between your biology and your circumstances. Many with such a conflict fail to get married because God values free will over marriage. Not only are we free to forever reject candidates for marriage, we're free to be damned. Most men today are single because of unattractiveness, social problems, antisocial attributes, personal misfortune, or handicaps. For many, women never consider them. Seeking a mate and not finding one could waste their entire life. Some forcibly succeeding in finding someone, but some personalities only attract abusers, those who won't fulfill their marital responsibilities, those who will abandon them, or thieves. In those cases, you're better off single. So the single life must be fully supported. No magic person is hidden somewhere. Rather, singles are desirable to varying percentages of the opposite sex. Extremely popular women may be desirable to 99.5% of single men. Unpopular women may be desirable to only 1%. Extremely popular men may be desirable to 75% of single women. Average men may be desirable to 25%. Unpopular men to only 1%. Some men are completely undesired, 0%. So for the socially backward who seek that special someone, don't hold your breath. Yet some undesirable men, such as a 55-year-old never married man who's short, limps, stutters, has spectacles as thick as soda bottles, has warts, bags groceries for a living, lives with his parents, and has no car, are on a relentless mate search. There's a saying, the definition of insanity is continually doing the same exact thing while expecting a different result. Also, women's blanket condemnation, there are no decent guys around, is absolutely false. Rather, many women choose to remain permanently single without admitting it. Single church-going women over 30 choose singleness predicated upon the propaganda of female independence. This is proven when their financial situation becomes extremely dire and they suddenly marry a wealthy and often elderly man. Many others lack the psychological maturity to be interested in men. Some disinterest in men within secular circles is socially unacceptable, so such women often hide behind religion. Notably, religious women who never had sex claim they've so-called maintained purity and give each other accolades for being abnormal. Besides, Christianity teaches that everyone has become impure through sin, and only Jesus Christ maintained purity. Regardless, all mentally well women over 40 who are not physically deformed and have internet access are liars if they claim they could never find a man. They are either unattracted to men or only want men they can control and dictate the terms of the relationship to, or who are rich. And since most church-going men over 30 hate being single, women choosing to be forever single often forces unwanted singleness on men since there are not enough women to go around. Instead of rejecting men for objectively bad behaviors, most women reject men based on subjective opinion, labeling them weird, dorks, geeks, or whatnot. These single women are dead wrong. So women are often the problem, not the solution. Stay tuned for part 3.